book on page, chapter 11, text 8. Verse you've all been waiting for, the universal form. 10:8, no, 11:8, 11:8. If you want to come inside, please feel free to do so. I know the secret of staying outside. You can easily sneak away without being noticed. Om Jnana Shalakaya Chakshurindra Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manavishtam Tapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Upakadamayam Dadati Swapadantam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yutabhadakamanam Shri Guru Navaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sarvajatam Sahaganaratam Vikantam Sajivam Sadaitam Sarvatam Pradijana Saritam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jalapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namoshate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Panamani Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarurasya Vipasindhu Vivekya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Universal Form, chapter 10, text number 8.
Vesmírná podoba, 11. kapitola, sloka 8.
No tu mam shakshase drashtum anenaiva svachakshusha devyam dadami te chakshu pashyame yogam aishvaram. Should we do the whole word? Purpose long, okay. We're going to skip it. We've been skipping all afternoon. But you cannot see me, Krishna speaking to Arjuna, but you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence.
Krishna říká Arjunovi, nemůžeš mě však vidět svýma nynějšíma očima. Dávám ti proto božský zrak, pohled na mé mystické bohatství.
Purport. A pure devotee does not like to see Krishna in any form except his form with two hands. A devotee must see his universal form by his grace, not with the mind, but with spiritual eyes.
Čistý oddaný si nepřeje vidět Krishnu v žádné jiné než v důvodké podobě. Jeho vesmírnou podobu může spatřit jedině jeho milost, ne prostřednictvím mysli, ale duchovníma očima.
To see the universal form of Krishna, Arjuna is told not to change his mind, but change his vision.
Arjunovi je řečeno, že k tomu, aby mohl vidět Krishnou vesmírnou podobu, musí mít jiný zrak, nikoliv jinou mysl.
Really, already many points have been mentioned. The first one is that a devotee doesn't like to see Krishna in any form, except his two arms.
Tady je mnoho bodů, první z nich, že Oddaný nechce vidět jinou podobu Krišny než dvourukou.
And in the Bhagavad Gita we see many subjects of distress.
Na Bhagavad se diskutuje mnoho témat.
But what is the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita?
Ale jaký je závěr toho?
When Prabhupada was in England in 1976, I think, he asked the devotees, so what is the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita?
Když byl Prabhupada v Anglii, myslím, že v roce 76, tak se ptal oddaných, co je tedy závěr Bhagavad Gita?
What is the conclusion?
Co je ten závěr?
We should love Krishna.
Pardon?
We should love Krishna.
We should love Krishna, yeah. And differently worded in Bhagavad Gita, what does Krishna say?
Měli milovat Krišnu, ale jak to Krišna říká?
Okay, Manmano Bhagavat Bhakto Madhyati Namastu. Engage your mind always in thinking of me.
Pořád na mě myslí.
And there's another verse, the Prabhupada, although that's the Paribhashya Sutra of the Bhagavad Gita, but Prabhupada accepted a different verse, selected one away from it.
Prabhupada ještě uznal jako základní verš Bhagavad Gita trochu jiný verš, který je o jeden dál.
What was that? Sarvadhamma Pratyaktha. Mamikam Sharanam Pratyaktha. That can surrender, abandon all varieties of religion and surrender to me.
Zavrhni všechny druhy náboženství a jenom se mě odevzdej.
And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary on this verse, describes, let's say, an interesting perspective on this statement.
Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ve svém komentáři k tomuto verši dává zajímavou perspektivu.
And whereas most of the Bhagavad Gita is focused around understanding the Lord in the heart,
Co většina Bhagavad Gita se zaměřuje na pochopení Pána v srdci.
understanding this chapter, the Lord's presence in the universal form.
V té kapitole je to pochopení Pánovi vesmírné podoby.
In some places, that all-pervasive nature of the Absolute is described.
Na jiných místech se popisuje jeho všeprostupující povaha.
But he says the final conclusion is give up all of those, let's say, modes of worship,
Co říká na závěr, zdej se všech těchto druhů uctívání.
be they according to the three modes of nature or transcendental modes of worship.
Už je to na úrovni 3 kvalit přírodní nebo transcendentální uctívání.
And just surrender to that two-armed form of Krishna.
A jednoduše se odevzdejí dvouruké podobě Krišny.
Focus all one's attention on that two-armed form.
Všechno pozornost zaměř na tuhle dvourukou podobu.
And Prabhupada even writes, so he said, we should focus our attention on that two-armed form. Although in other places he said you can focus your attention on any form.
Prabhupada říká, že na tuhle dvourukou podobu bychom měli zaměřit svou pozornost, i když jinde říká, že na jakoukoliv podobu Krišny.
And that's why it's called the most confidential. Again and again we hear the most confidential, but this is the most confidential knowledge, is that knowledge of Krishna, supreme, original person.
Slyšíme hodně o nejdůvěrnější poznání, ale tohle je úplně nejdůvěrnější poznání o Krišnovi jako původu všeho a původu podoby.
And that process which leads one to, say, focusing or surrendering to that supreme person.
Ten proces, který vede k zaměření se a odevzdání se té nejvyšší osobě.
So there's a lead up to that. There's a lead up in the 18th chapter to how we can surrender to Krishna.
Tam je takový návod v 18. kapitole, jak se můžeme odevzdat Krišnovi.
One of those points is mentioned here.
Jeden z nich bodů je zmíněný tady.
And in regard to seeing the universal form, but it's the same thing in relation with Krishna.
Tak tady se to týká zjevení vesmírné podoby, ale stejné je to v tom, abychom mohli vidět Krišnu.
We have to change our vision.
Musíme změnit svůj zrak.
Sometimes we like to change the situation around us.
Někdy bychom rádi měnili situaci kolem nás.
And no doubt the situation around us is, let's say, it can be favorable or less favorable to our remembrance of Krishna.
No, není pochyb o tom, že situace kolem nás může být buď víc nebo méně příznivá pro vzpomínání na Krishnu.
You could say the purpose of the Krishna conscious movement is, practically speaking, to create an environment which is favorable for us to become Krishna conscious.
Se dá říct, účelem vědomí Krishny je prakticky vytvořit prostředí, které bude příznivé pro vzpomínání na Krishnu.
So Srila Prabhupada describes how our temples, that can apply to your home and anything, but how it should be a place where people can come and they feel interested to hear and chant about Krishna.
Prabhupada říkal, že naše chrámy by měly být místa, kam budou lidi inspirovaní přicházet a chtít zpívat a naslouchat o Krishnovi.
Because most of us are conditioned, most of us are still affected by the material energy.
Většina z nás je pořád podmíněných a ovlivněných hmotnou energií.
As I try to create an atmosphere, it makes it easier for us to come to that point of surrendering to Krishna.
Se snažíme vytvářet atmosféru, která nám ulehčí dojít do toho bodu, kdy se budeme odevzdávat Krishnovi.
It's not so much of a change of, let's say, our material body, our material mind, our material environment. Not so much of a change of that.
Nejde až tak o změnu hmotného těla, nebo hmotné mysli, nebo hmotného prostředí.
The essential thing is how we see things.
Ale podstatné je, jak se na věci díváme.
We can't necessarily change the way the world is, or the way we are in one sense.
Takže nemůžeme změnit, jaký svět je, nebo v jednom smyslu, jaký jsme my sami.
We're not this mind, we're not this body. These are just material associations which we presently have.
Nejsme tahle mysl, nejsme tohle tělo, to jsou jenom hmotné souvislosti, ve kterých jsme se ocitli.
It's like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj comments on this point.
Saraswati Maharaj tento odkomentuje.
He says, one who thinks they can reform this world is in need of reform.
Kdo si myslí, že může reformovat tenhle svět, tak sám potřebuje reformu.
No one can change this world but by the hair breadth, just like a hair.
Nikdo nemůže tenhle svět změnit ani ochu.
The breadth of the hair. Everything is being orchestrated by the perfect arrangement of the Supreme.
Všechno je řízeno dokonalým aranžmánem nejvyššího.
When we see things apparently being changed, adjusted in this world, it is the hand of the Supreme Lord working through someone.
Když vidíme, že něco jako kdyby se měnilo a upravovalo v tomhle světě, tak je to vždycky ruka nejvyššího jednající skrze někoho.
The only reform which is required is the reform of our perception.
Jediná náprava, která je potřeba, je náprava našeho vnímání.
Of how we see the situation around us.
Jak vidíme situaci kolem.
Instead of seeing it in relation to the modes of nature, or our own, and say how I feel it is, or how I see it.
Abychom to viděli v rámci tří kvalit hmotné přírody, jak mně to připadá.
The science is to learn to see things in relationship with Krishna.
Tak ta věda je naučit se vidět všechno ve vztahu ke Krishnovi.
And everything changes.
Všechno se mění.
That's a very big topic. So in order to see Krishna, actually to see Krishna, one has to have purified vision.
To je velké téma. Abychom viděli Krishnu, musíme mít očištěný zrak.
Like you said, Dr. Maharaj, that says that purified vision comes by exposing ourselves to the transcendental sound vibration of the holy name.
Saraswati Maharaj říká, že vize se očiští, když se vystavíme očistným účinkům svatého.
We have to expose ourselves, everything else is done.
Jenom se tomu musíme vystavit a všechno už se
udělá. By attentively hearing and chanting the sound vibration, automatically the heart becomes cleansed.
Pozorným nasloucháním a opěvováním svatého jména se srdce automaticky očistí.
When we say heart, we mean basically speaking our perception, how we relate to that which is around us.
Když říkáme srdce, tak tím míníme naše vnímání, jak se vztahujeme k tomu, co je kolem nás.
When we say around us, that includes the mind.
Když říkáme kolem nás, tak to se vztahuje i na mysl.
We think we are the mind.
My si myslíme, že jsme mysl.
It's a great relief to realize we're not the mind.
Je velká úleva, že nejsme mysl.
Okay, I haven't realized it, but maybe some of you have realized you're not your minds. What a relief. I don't know what your minds are like. Jeez. Or this body. We're so proud sometimes of our body, but
jsme tak pyšní na svoje tělo.
anyway, say no more on that. But it's nice to know you're not this body, you're not this mind.
Je pěkný vidět, že nejsme tohle tělo, ani tohle mysl.
Of course, we have to have some understanding of who we are, otherwise we might get a bit lost.
Musíme mít nějaké pochopení, kdo jsme, jinak bychom se docela ztratili.
So that's also explained in Bhagavad Gita, of course, who are we.
Což je taky vysvětleno v Bhagavad Gita.
So see Krishna is by Krishna's grace.
Vidět Krishnu je možné Krishnovou milost.
Certainly with material eyes, Krishna himself says he cannot see me with the present eyes in this verse. He has to give his specialized spiritual eyes.
Hmotnýma očima ho vidět nemůžeme, ale musí dát speciální duchovní zrak.
Later in this chapter, Krishna explains that you cannot see this form which you are seeing. It cannot be perceived with material senses.
Později v této kapitole Krishna říká, tuhle podobu, kterou teď vidíš, není možné vidět hmotnými smysly.
We're only seeing, like, if, simple example, but if my spectacle is cracked down the lens, cracked.
Jako jednoduchý příklad, když budu mít rozbité brýle.
Everything I look at, I'll be convinced is cracked.
Když tam budu mít nějakou prasklinu, tak...
What's wrong with you? You're cracked.
Co se podívám, jak tam bude prasklina. Co je s tebou? Jsi prasklej.
You're not cracked. What are you talking about? You're a crackpot. No, you're not.
Ale já jsem velmi prasklej.
I really don't know that term, so you know that. But whatever it is, or if they're tinted, say they're tinted green.
Když to budeme mít přibarvené třeba do zelené.
What's wrong with you today? Envious? Feeling envious of me, are you? Hey? You're looking a bit green today. Eating too much spinach, eh? You're not green, you're not cracked, but from my perspective you are. But we may fight over it. No, I'm not green, you're yellow. You're blue. I'm not blue. And that's what's going on in the world. Looking at the same thing with their own, let's say, tinted vision. Impure vision. So the whole purpose is to purify our vision, not to change it exactly, but purify what's there. Remove the coverings. Cleanse the heart. Okay? Kaliyudai. Automatically, one can see things as they are. Nityasiddha Krishna prema sadhikavanai. That natural attraction or understanding, love for Krishna automatically awakens when our heart actually becomes cleansed.
Přirozená záliba v Krishnovi a vztah k němu se probudí automaticky, když máme očištěné srdce.
And that's the process of Sankirtan.
A o tom je proces Sankirtan.
To come together and try to focus whatever we can, our mind, our senses, our body, whatever we have, try to focus that on the sound vibration.
Scházet se společně a snažit se zaměřovat všechno, co máme, svoje smysly těla na duchovou vibraci.
And if we're actually tuning, there will be a purification of our consciousness.
Když se takhle vyladíme, tak se očistí naše vědomí.
It cleanses the heart and removes all the problem, all the burnt, blazing fire until existence is extinguished.
Očišťuje to srdce a odstraňuje všechny problémy, vlastně hasí ten požár hmotné existence.
And it's like, if we're intoxicated, then everything looks a bit different. I don't know if any of you are intoxicated. Some of you may have experienced it. We have certainly experienced being intoxicated. Things don't look quite the same, do they? Double vision or whatever it is, all kinds of weird things going on. It's not us and it's not what we're perceiving, it's the means. Means of perception are perverted. It's all about adjusting the means of perception. That's the purpose of these spectacles. Without these spectacles, I have very blurred vision. When I put the spectacles on, I can see very clearly. Almost. Something I can see better than without it. In a sense, Krishna consciousness or let's say our practice of Krishna consciousness.
Stejně tak naše praktikování vědomí Krišny.
It's more about, Prabhupada said, don't try to see Krishna. You know that? Don't try to see Krishna.
Prabhupada říkal, nesnažte se vidět Krišnu.
And then what was the second line?
Co je druhý řádek?
Try to act. Yeah, we're a very good actor. There's a bit more to just try to act.
In a way, Krishna.
Ah, very good. Try to act in a way that Krishna will see you.
Chce se jednat nebo hrát takovým způsobem, aby Krišna chtěl vidět vás.
This is at least in our stage, this is our situation. We're trying to adjust our lives so that it will be attractive or pleasing to Krishna.
Se snažíme uspůsobit svoje životy takovým způsobem, aby to mohlo těšit Krišnu.
Because this understanding is Pratyaksha Bhagavan Dharmam Sushukam Kartamagam. It is realized with purified senses.
Aby se můžeme realizovat s očištěnými smysly.
It's not an artificial imposition, as Prabhupada said.
Není to něco uměle vnuceného myslí, říkal.
It's not some kind of theoretical analysis.
Není to nějaká teoretická analýza.
Not understood by speculation.
Je to pochopit spekulací.
Or even by material piety and good acts and so many yajnas. No, not by those means.
Ani pomocí hmotné zbožnosti a různých obětí. To nejsou právě prostředky.
Krishna reveals himself to the one he chooses.
Krishna se vyjeví tomu, koho si vybere.
And that means usually the one who is pleasing his devotee.
To znamená, obvykle toho, kdo těší jeho oddané.
So we're trying to follow in the footsteps, follow the direction of Madhurya and Sapanta. Try to follow in the footsteps of those great devotees of Krishna.
Se snažíme kráčet ve stopách těchto velkých oddaných Krishna.
I'll go back to the purport. We'll just finish that off and see what comes.
Se vrátíme ještě k tomu významu.
The universal form of Krishna is not very important.
Krishnova vesmírná podoba není příliš důležitá.
That will be clear in subsequent verses.
Bude zřejmé z následujících veršů.
But because Arjuna wanted to see it, the Lord gives him the particular vision required to see the universal form.
Jelikož však Arjuna chtěl vidět Pánu, dal zrak potřebný k jejímu patří.
Now we see in the 10th chapter, Arjuna wanted to basically hear about the universal form.
V 10. kapitole nejdřív Arjuna chtěl slyšet o té
He
vesmírné.
wanted to hear how Krishna and his opulences, his potencies were acting in this world.
Chtěl slyšet, jak Krishnovo bohatství a jak jeho síly působí v tomto světě.
That was good enough for Arjuna, that's for sure. That was enough for him. Even before he was already convinced, but that was certainly enough. Just to hear about it was great.
Takže Arjunovi rozhodně stačilo o tom jenom slyšet, on už předtím byl přesvědčen.
But for the sake of others, Prabhupada describes it, Arjuna also wanted to see it.
Ale Prabhupada vysvětluje, že ještě kvůli ostatním chtěl Arjuna i vidět.
Not so much for his own purpose, he had no real interest, but just to help convince others and to help to show what the actual quality of the Supreme is.
Ne až tak, že by to bylo v jeho vlastním zájmu, ale chtěl ukázat druhým, jaké má vlastnosti nejvyšší.
Devotees are correctly situated in transcendental relation with Krishna. So devotees who are correctly situated in a transcendental relation with Krishna are attracted by loving affairs, not by a godless display of opulences.
Oddaní, kteří jsou ve správném postavení v transcendentálním vztahu s Krishnou, jsou přitahováni jeho láskyplnými rysy, ne bohatstvím, projevem bohatství.
Prabhupada sometimes says it's just like, how will you make a dress for the universal form?
Prabhupada někdy říkal, jak byste chtěli oblékat.
Imagine if you're a pujari and you've got to dress the universal form.
Představte si, že jste pujári a máte oblékat vesmírnou podobu.
You're doing Varata Rupa Kirtan.
Viratu Kirtan.
Virata Rupa 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 Rupa. It would be very exciting. Well, maybe for a few minutes, but it won't last.
Virata Rupa Rupa, prostě možná bylo vzrušující pár minut, ale ne na dlouho.
You have a loving relationship with someone who is so like it appears so vast and so many forms. How do you have a loving relationship?
Jak si ten láskyplný vztah s něčím, co je tak obrovské a plné mnoha různých podob.
Reverential form, yes, reverential mood, excuse me. Yeah.
Takže jako úctivý vztah mít můžeme.
That's why, like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Ratarupa, the universal form, is described as the first step in realization. Have anyone been to the Himalayas? Anyone been? You've been to the Himalayas, haven't you? Anyone been up the Himalayas? Vishnu Jan. They've been everywhere. Where have you been? Have you been to Antarctica yet? Antarctica. Huh? Next year? I've been on every continent.
Only the warm places to go.
Yeah, well, they go to the cold places in the summer. And follow the sun. They didn't like Newcastle very much when they were there. They were there in the middle of the summer and they still didn't like it.
Newcastle se jim moc nelíbilo, když tam byli prostřed léta, stejně se to nestačilo.
Anyway, whatever, do the needful. Chant the holy name. And but you go to the Himalayas, you know, they're pretty awesome, aren't they? These massive mountains, and they're like looming up practically to the sky, and you're like a little tiny insect at the bottom. Quite overwhelming. When you look at the great ocean, it's so vast, powerful. Even in the presence of the power of a person, sometimes we feel uncomfortable with it. So small. So one of the aspects of this universal form, of the description of it, is that we may develop a little bit of humility, a little bit of, let's say, freedom from pride. Because we can never approach Krishna with pride. We can have true humility. There are many ways of looking at true humility, but it's not necessarily exactly what people in the material world think it is. That's the balance. I have no qualification, I have no ability to understand this, to see this, whatever it is, on my own account. Only by the mercy of the Lord is it all possible. And that's up to Him. I can't demand that He reveal Himself. Was it George Harrison used to sing? What was that song? My sweet Lord. You know that? Sing it. My sweet Lord, Hare Krishna, but I really want to see you, but I really want to be you. I'm sure if I did.
I sang it yesterday.
We were out on Sankirtan, they dragged us out on the street. We missed you.
No, you left before that.
No, we left about 7 or 8 o'clock from the park.
No,
We went on
I did it.
Harinam.
Yeah, but when you went in a little van?
A big van. Gora Shakti. A big motorhome.
I see.
We were almost finished, I think it's almost finished.
Yeah, but then I sang
Because
it.
they dragged us out on, we went on Harinam. We were switching down. We went out again, didn't we? You took us out on Harinam. Anyway, we missed it. I wish we were very enlightening. It's a nice sentiment, but it's, you know, that's great. That sentiment, I really want to be with you, Lord. I want to see you, Lord. Then we have to do our work.
Pěkný sentiment, já chci vidět, Pane, chci být s tebou a to není nic laciné.
Even to see an important person in this world is not a cheap thing.
Už jenom vidět nějakou důležitou osobu není nic laciné.
You want to see your guru or something, it's not necessarily so easy sometimes.
Někdy třeba, když chcete vidět svého guru, tak to
Waiting
je
list,
snadné. Jste na
secretary, this thing, that thing.
pořadníku.
Make an appointment. Next year when we come.
Domluví schůzku, možná až přijde příště.
was a very important person, materially speaking.
Nebo nějaký
And
VIP
you walk into the office. Hey, Harry Ball.
na hotelu, přijdete do kanceláře.
What's this guy's name? The president? Obama. Barrack, isn't it? Barrack. Hey, I want to see Barrack.
Já se chci potkat s Barackem.
And tell him I'm here. Tell him I need to see him right now.
Řekněte mu, že jsem přišel, tak ať přijde.
He might not get through. He might not.
Možná neprojde.
Wait and see. You're even qualified to even get to see him.
Že musíte si počkat, abyste ho
And we can see even when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in Jagannath Puri,
že když byl Chaitanya Mahaprabhu v Jagannath Puri,
King Prataparudra wanted to have his association.
král Prataparudra chtěl mít
But could he get it? Of course he could see him from a distance.
tak mohl se na něj dívat z dálky.
But he couldn't get that association he wanted.
Ale takovou společnost, takovou...
He tried everything.
nemohl.
He tried everything he could think of.
Všechno na
He
co
threatened to give up his kingdom. He threatened to give up his life.
vyhrožoval, že se zřekne království, že
He appealed through Ramananda Roy. He appealed through Lord Nityananda.
spácha sebevraždu a to za Ramana.
He begged all the devotees.
Prosil všechny oddané.
Lord Chaitanya said no.
A Chaitanya říkal ne.
I cannot give him my audience.
S ním se nemůžu setkat.
He thinks he is a king.
Že si myslí, že je král.
I see, he didn't really think he was a king, but that's how it looks. He was a king. He was in a king's dress.
Tak to vypadá ten v královském
I cannot see somebody who's in the role of a king like this.
Já se nemůžu setkat s někým, kdo takhle hraje roli krále.
And eventually, of course, he got food darshan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Ale nakonec měl takové setkání s Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
He wasn't like that. Say, for instance, some of the people who were refused entry into the nocturnal kirtans in Srivasa's house.
To někteří lidé nesměli vstoupit do nočních kirtanů
Not qualified.
do Srivasa Thakura.
Qualification required.
To jsou potřeba kvalifikace.
When Lord Chaitanya saw King Prataparudra sweeping the floor in front of Lord Jagannath, feeling greatly fortunate for that opportunity.
Pan Chaitanya viděl, jak král Prataparudra zametá před
Menial service. He was so
tak šťastný.
fortunate. I am a lowly person like me, having this opportunity to sweep the floor in front of Lord Jagannath.
On dělal takovou nízkou službu, jenom zametat prostě ten před pánem Jagannathem, ale on byl tak rád, že
Then the Lord was convinced. He was already knew, he already convinced. But this is what really, turned his heart.
tak tohle už pána pak definitivně přesvědčilo. Už věděl něco, ale tohle byla změna v srdci.
Same thing with Lord Chaitanya. I mean, to get into those internal kirtans was not an easy thing.
S pánem Chaitanyou dostat se do těch vnitřních kirtanů nebylo snadné.
There was one brahmachari,
Jeden brahmachari,
and this brahmachari was very austere.
velice očekavý.
Very austere. He'd do things like get up at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Vstával už ve 4 ráno,
take a cold bath,
dal studenou sprchu,
go to Mangalarti,
šel na Mangaláru,
chant japa,
zpíval čapu,
go for Guru Puja,
šel na Guru,
hear the Srimad Bhagavatam class,
poslouchal přednášky,
only eat prasadam,
a jedl jenom prasádem.
do what the temple authorities tell him to,
Dělat, co mu chrámové autority řekli.
go on Sankirtan.
Chodí na Sankirtan.
Oh my God, how can anyone do that?
Jak tohle někdo může
I like Parabeat talking that song you sing. Oh, you sing a line of it. Can you get up to it?
When I was young, that's that one?
No.
When I was young, I thought it would be easy to become a pure devotee in this life. Now I know it's not as easy as it seemed. Then I was inspired, never felt tired, living a life of austerity. Oh Krishna, what happened to me? The seventh
Do you get that? You have to give him a chance to try.
I
said, then I was inspired. This is a devotee looking back. Then, when I was young, I thought it would be easy.
Myslel jsem, jak to bude snadné stát se čistým oddaným. Tenkrát jsem byl
To become
inspirován,
a pure devotee in this life.
že se stanu čistým oddaným v tomhle životě.
Now I know it's not as easy as it seems.
Teď vidím, že to není tak snadné, jak to vypadá.
To only have devotion for you.
Být jenom tobě oddaný.
Then I was inspired.
Tenkrát jsem byl inspirovaný.
Never felt tired.
Nikdy jsem se necítil unavený.
Living a life of austerity.
Žil jsem podříkaným životem.
Humbly following my authority.
Následoval svoji autoritu.
Oh Krishna, what happened to me?
Krishna, co se to se mnou stalo?
Now I'm uninspired.
Teď jsem neinspirovaný.
Always tired.
Jsem pořád unavený.
Living a life of luxury.
Žil luxusním životem.
Gone are the days of austerity.
I tam jsou dny askeze.
Oh Krishna, what happened to me?
You have to hear him sing it, then you really got swept away.
Jste slyšet, jak to zpívá, to propatilo asi neslo.
We know what's happened.
Tak my víme, co se stalo.
We know what happened.
Víme, co se stalo.
You become inspired. Never tired.
Inspirovaný, nikdy nejsi unavený.
Always in the Sankirtan fire.
Pořád v Sankirtanovém ohni.
That's what we have to do. Instead of trying to go back to the material, get more into chanting.
Musíme se zase pokroužit víc do zpívání.
Anyway, how did we get onto that? I can't remember.
Jak jsme se k tomu dostali?
You were talking about the brahmachari, the life of a brahmachari.
Oh, the great austerities of brahmachari. But we were talking about the brahmachari going to Srivas Thakur's Sankirtan.
Mluvili o brahmachárinovi, který chtěl jít do Sankirtanu Srivas Thakur.
Very austere brahmachari.
Velice odříkají brahmachari.
He only lived on drinking milk.
Jenom pil mléko.
And he thought, if only I could get in and see Lord Chaitanya's dancing.
Říkal si, kdybych tak mohl vidět Pána Chaitanya v
He
tance.
begged Srivas Thakur, please let me in, please let me in.
Prosil Srivas Thakur, prosím tě, pust mě dovnitř.
No, I can't do that.
Ne, nemůžu.
Lord Chaitanya is very, very selective. I can't have got the prayer. I can't do that.
Chaitanya si velice vybírá, já nemám svolení tohle udělat.
Please. Just so I can see the dance.
Já jenom chci vidět ten tanec.
All right then.
No tak dobře.
But you have to hide very carefully.
Musíš se dobře schovat.
So he did. He sneaked in. And he hid. He hid himself in the room.
On se tam vetřel a schoval se tam v místnosti.
A kirtan began.
Začal
The
kirtan.
boys were dancing in ecstasy.
Oddaní tancovali v extázi.
Harinam Mandir was there. Dancing.
Extaticky tancoval.
Krishna Jan.
Krishna Jan.
Kirtan there.
Velký kirtan.
Gorkaruna comes in on his bicycle. The brahmachari is watching.
Brahmachari se na to dívá. Často.
Lord Chaitanya stops the kirtan. Stop!
Pán Chaitanya zastavil kirtan. Konec.
What's going on here, Shivas?
Co se tady děje, Šivas?
Is there someone here in this room who should not be here?
Není tady někdo,
No,
kdo by tady neměl být?
No. Only pure devotees here, my lord. Only pure devotees.
To jenom čistí oranž.
Shivas, tell the truth.
Řekni pravdu, Šivas.
My lord, there's one very, very pure brahmachari here.
On je tady jeden velice čistý
What?
brahmachari.
Bring him here.
Přived ho.
Drag him out.
Vytáhni ho.
So, what things makes you think you have the right to come here into this kirtan?
Tak co si myslíš, že máš právo tady být na tomhle kirtanu?
My lord, he's very austere. He lives on drinking milk.
Ale pane, oni tak odříkají, on žije jenom z mléka.
You think you can see me by being a milk drinking brahmachari?
Ty si myslíš, že jako takhle mě můžeš
You
vidět?
think that's the qualification for seeing me?
To myslíš, že je kvalifikace, jak mě vidět?
Get out! Kick him out!
Vysvět to.
No, I don't know if he was that heavy, but he was told to get out.
Nevím, jestli to říkal až
They
takhle.
dragged him out of the hall, out of the room.
Ale vytáhli ho pryč z toho
And the
pokoje.
brahmachari was thinking, oh, how fortunate am I. I saw Lord Chaitanya dancing for a few moments.
Brahmachari si říkal, já jsem takový
My
šťastný.
desires were fulfilled.
Jsem viděl několik chvíl tenčit, že tam má...
Lord Chaitanya, when he saw the thoughts, he sees the thoughts, not just what we do.
Pan Chaitanya vidí myšlenky, nejenom
He
co
saw the
dělá.
thoughts, he said, okay, bring him back in. Now,
Dobře, tak potřebujete zpátky, už je
his
kvalifikovat.
all pride went away.
protože pýcha, jeho pýcha byla
And our heart is free of this pride, of, our attachment to, let's say,
Can I ask a question, please? So this brahmachari, was he proud, or because he had this eagerness, which is like what we need to have? But was there a tinge of pride in him, or was it just Lord Chaitanya showing that by austerity you cannot just?
Yeah, that's the real point. He shows this example through his devotees. He shows us how we can develop our pure devotion.
takhle nás skrze oddané učí Čedrama Prabhu, jak vyvinout čistou oddanost.
But was this brahmachari actually proud, or
Byl teda
because he looked like to me he's very.
There's no mention of him.
Was it just to show?
Yeah, maybe to show the example that if we are proud of being, a vegan, or, we only eat once a day, or we're chanting 64 runs, it may be good, but it's not the qualification.
Když jsme veganí nebo jíme jednou denně, zpíváme 64 koleček, to je sice pěkné, ale to není samo o sobě kvalifikace.
That's the point.
To je ten bod.
To show an example to us. And we see mostly in the Bhagavatam also so many examples, whether it's Indra or whoever it may be, Brahma, and so many others who Krishna made. He made teachers to other living entities. So many different necessary lessons.
Vidíme příklady skrze Brahmu nebo Indru. Pán nás učí na příkladech druhých různá ponaučení.
There are many other examples like that, even to in Dr. Candace's time.
Další příklady, to bude Pána
Of
Čitana.
persons who tried to, what are his names, Ram, came with his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and was also the Bhalabhavatacharya with his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Když Pána Patáčara přišel se svým komentářem,
In his case, there was a tinge of pride,
tak tam byla nějaká přímě spíchy.
and he was attached to his commentary.
Byl připoutaný ke svému komentáři.
Lord Chaitanya, by various means, he helped to reduce that pride.
No, Pán Čitana různými způsoby zmenšil tu hrdí.
So when we may not get our way, or when we're chastised, or when things don't go the way we want,
Možná se nedělou věci tak, jak bychom chtěli dostat vyhledat.
it can also be seen as the Lord's mercy to try to remove whatever is an obstacle on our path to pure devotion.
To můžeme vidět jako Pánovu milost, kterou se snaží odstranit překážku, kterou máme na cestě.
There's no need to become, upset, angry, distressed, disturbed, depressed, or whatever it is.
Musíme z toho být rozčilení, rozhněvaný a bez stresu a sklíčení.
Try practicing to see things from Krishna's point of view.
Snažíme se vidět věci z Krišnova hlediska.
He wants us to become eligible to return back to God.
Chce, aby jsme byli způsobeni zpátky k Bohu.
And the pure devotees want us to go back to God.
Čistí oddaní taky chtějí, abychom šli zpátky k Bohu.
So they're all trying in different ways to help us to let go whatever attachments, whatever false perception concepts we may have.
Se nám různými způsoby snaží pomáhat zbavit se té připoutanosti nebo špatných představ, které máme.
So we can become free of the bondage in this material world.
Abychom se vyprostili z pout hmotného světa.
And again, same thing in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says you cannot see me by austerity, by study of the Vedas, by various types of sacrifices, etc. You can only see me by pure devotional service.
Stejně tak v Bhagavad Gita, když mi říká, můžeš nevidět skrze askezu, poznání, obětí, studium Véd, ale ne skrze čistou oddanou službu.
We continue a little bit with the purport. The playmates of Krishna, the friends of Krishna, and the parents of Krishna never want Krishna to show his opulences. Second paragraph.
Krishnovi společníci, přátelé a rodiče si nikdy nepřejí, aby ukazoval své bohatství.
They're so immersed in pure love, they do not even know that Krishna is the supreme personality of God.
Jsou tak pohroužení v čisté lásce, že ani nevědí, že Krishna je nejvyšší osobnost božství.
In their loving exchange, they forget that Krishna is the supreme Lord.
Při opětování lásky zapomínají, že Krishna je nejvyšší pán.
But in Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated that the boys who play with Krishna are all highly pious souls, and after many, many births they are able to play with Krishna.
Tam bude řečeno, že všichni chlapci, kteří si hrají s Krišnou, jsou nesmírně zbožné duše. To příležitost dostali po mnoha životech.
Not to put it as a material qualification, it sounds almost like after material piety or something you get that chance. It's not.
Tady to vypadá jako kdyby nějaká hmotná zbožnost byla kvalifikací, ale tak není.
Maybe in this case, it's like in a lifetime, of gradually coming to pure devotion, engaging in devotional service, activities which awaken one's natural attraction towards Krishna.
Je potřeba bhakti, mukti, sukriti, činnosti, které probouzejí naši zálibu a chuť pro oddanou službu Krishna.
And of course there are different boys who are playing with Krishna. Some are his eternal associates.
S Krishnou si hrají různí chlapci, někteří jsou jeho věční společníci.
Some are coming into the pastimes,
Kteří do těch zábav přichází,
having become eligible to enter in.
když si stali způsobilost.
And then they get the association of those pure boys, and they develop the same root as those pure boys.
Získají společnost těch čistých chlapců a začnou sdílet jejich nálady.
And then, because it's a loving exchange, so in loving exchange, reverence and, awe, etc. are not really appropriate in this type of loving exchange.
A v těchto láskyplných výměnách nějaká úcta a bázeň nejsou na místě.
It's like a president, let's say we take Mr. Obama again, if he comes home to his wife and children,
Když si vezmeme zase příklad pana Obamy,
as he enters into the door of his house,
přijde domů za ženou ze
we salute the President of the United States of America. What is there, saluting her husband, children all bowing down,
Jde do dveří a budou fanfáry, tady zdravíme prezidenta Spojených států, děti se mu budou klanět.
And look around, hey, what's going on in assassination? What's going on here? Something's wrong here, you'll think. Why are they doing like this?
Si řeknou, co se tady děje, proč se k něm chovají tímhle způsobem.
He doesn't expect that at home, does he?
Tohle to by doma nečekal.
It's inappropriate. It
To se
doesn't fit.
nehodí.
Same day, if your mother, to go home, the president goes and sees his mother. He has to do what his mom says. Sit down.
Když pan prezident navštíví
Sit down now and eat the apple pie, or whatever you have.
musí dělat, co on mu řekne. Tady se posaďte, směste mléční koláč.
Relationship is different. He doesn't care. You're the president. No president. You're my son. Sit down. Do what I tell you.
Čili to je jedno, jestli prezident nebo jsi můj syn, tak dělej, co ti řeknu.
And he enjoys it. It's a great relief from, the normal, let's say, relationship of being a president.
To užívá, že to je pro něj velká úleva z toho prezidentského postavení.
And spiritually also, because that's there in Krishna. He enjoys that so much more than just, oh Lord on high, we worship thee, we bow at your feet.
Krishna taky si užívá, když si s ním někdo hraje, tancuje, než panem na výsosti, my si kladíme.
But it's much more sweeter when he's playing with his friends and his, associates.
Když si hraje se svými kamarády a společníky, je to sladší.
Rolling around, fighting.
Si tam válí po zemi a perou se.
Probably even says sometimes a king or a great person, he employs jesters and wrestlers so he can have a bit of a relief, he just has a fight with someone.
Prabhupada říká, i král někdy si pronajímá, platí šašky nebo nějaké zápasníky, aby se s někým popral.
Not necessarily Krishna's having a relief, but this is a higher form of pleasure.
Že by to pro Krishnu byla úleva, ale vyšší stupeň radosti.
But to enter into that atmosphere, one has to be eligible, really pure.
Kdo chce vstoupit do téhle atmosféry, tak musí být skutečně čistý.
Idam sakam brahma sakam nibhutyadaskam vitanam paradaidatena maya shitanam naradakvikena shakam virya rupika punya punja. Here is the Supreme Person, who is considered the impersonal Brahman by great sages, the Supreme Personality of Godhead by devotees, and a product of material nature by ordinary men. Now these boys who have performed Many pious activities in their past lives are playing with the Supreme Personality of God.
Tady je nejvyšší osoba, kterou velcí mudrci považují za neosobní prahnou, oddaní za nejvyšší osobnost božství a obyčejní lidé za výtvor hmotné přírody. Tito chlapci, kteří ve svých minulých životech nahromadili mnoho zbožných činností, si teď hrají s tímto nejvyšším pánem.
The fact is that the devotee is not concerned with seeing the Vishvarup, the universal form, but Arjuna wants to see it to substantiate Krishna's statements, so that in the future people could understand that Krishna not only theoretically or philosophically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually presented himself as such to Arjuna.
Buddha sám nemá zájem vidět Išvaru vesmírnou podobu, ale Arjuna si ji přál vidět proto, aby doložil Krishnovo prohlášení. Chtěl, aby lidé v budoucnosti mohli pochopit, že Krishna se nepředstavil jako nejvyšší jenom teoreticky a filozoficky, ale že se taky Arjunovi skutečně ukázal.
Arjuna must confirm this because Arjuna is the beginning of the parampara system.
Arjuna to musel potvrdit, protože je počátkem nové parampary.
Those who are actually interested in understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and who follow in the footsteps of Arjuna, should understand that Krishna not only theoretically presented himself as the Supreme, but actually revealed himself as the Supreme.
Kdo chtějí skutečně poznat nejvyšší osobnost božství Krishnu a kráčet v Arjunových stopách, měli pochopit, že Krishna se nejenom jako teoreticky představil jako nejvyšší, ale že se taky skutečně zjevil.
The Lord gave Arjuna the necessary power to see his universal form, because he knew that Arjuna did not particularly want to see it, as we've already explained.
Pán dal Arjunovi potřebnou schopnost, aby viděl jeho vesmírnou podobu, protože věděl, že Arjuna sám ji nějak zvlášť vidět nechce, jak jsme již vysvětlili.
This is another point, because Prabhupada sometimes mentions that if one claims to be the Supreme, then one has to have this ability to reveal the universal form.
To je asi další bod, jak Prabhupada někdy říká, když někdo se prohlašuje za nejvyššího, musí být schopnost ukázat vesmírnou podobu.
Many statements in the Bhagavad Gita which, practically speaking, make it clear that no ordinary person can claim to be God.
Mnoho takových výroků v Bhagavad Gita, že nemůže obyčejný člověk se prohlašovat za Boha.
Even if we look at the 4th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita,
Se podíváme na 4. kapitolu,
where Krishna explains that, in the beginning he speaks this Bhagavad Gita to the sun.
Krishna vysvětluje, že nejdřív vyložil Bhagavad Gita Bohu slunce.
It has to be about 120 million years ago.
To bylo před 120 miliony let.
And Arjuna said, how am I supposed to believe this, Krishna?
Arjuna říká, jak ti tohle to mám věřit, Krishna?
We're the same age.
My jsme stejně starí.
How can I believe it?
Jak to mám věřit?
And Krishna says, many births both you and I have, or let's say appearances both you and I have taken in this world.
Krishna říká, my oba už jsme byli mnohokrát v tomhle světě.
I can remember all of them if we can.
Já si to všechno pamatuju, ale ty ne.
Another aspect of the Supreme Person, he has a pretty good memory.
Další aspekt nejvyšší osoby, že má hodně dobrou paměť.
Probably even better than mine.
Je lepší než já.
He can remember everything. Everyone. Past, present, and future.
Minulost, přítomnost, budoucnost.
If anyone wants to apply for a post of being God, that's one of the qualifications.
Pokud se někdo chce ucházet o místo Boha, tak to je jedna
There you remember what we said a couple of minutes ago.
Já si to pamatuju, co jsme řekli před pár minut.
Condition. He's in the heart of every living entity. He's all pervasive. He's all knowing. Form anything he wants. There's nothing impossible for the Supreme. So we can easily understand that I don't have that qualification. And it's not that God has to practice to get it. He doesn't have to go to the gymnasium to become strong. Or go to university to get knowledge. Or go to the beauty parlor to He's automatic. He is the reservoir for his qualities.
sám je zdrojem všech těchto.
They come from him.
Pocházejí z něj.
This would maybe there's a tendency we try to imitate those qualities.
Možná je tendence ty vlastnosti napodobovat.
No need to imitate.
To nemusí
We should try to follow him and his pure devotees.
Bychom to neměli napodobovat, ale snažit se následovat.
And then the natural qualities of the soul can develop.
Se přirozené vlastnosti duše můžou.
Yasti bhakti bhagavad kinchana vinayasara tattva samasata sava arava bhaktasya khroma hadana manovitinasya that one who, when is a devotee of the Lord, automatically develops all the good qualities, even of the highest demigods, the souls.
Oddaný pána automaticky vidí všechny dobré vlastnosti, když se stává vlastníků.
And he's following in the footsteps of the pure devotees, trying to mold their life according to their guidance.
To znamená kráčet ve stopách těch oddaných a upravit svoje životy podle jejich vedení.
And by the grace of Krishna, that's how the perceptual change takes place.
Takhle milostí Krišny nastává ta změna vnímání.
Even though materially people may appear to have good qualities,
Z hmotného pohledu lidi mohou vypadat, že mají dobré vlastnosti.
even if we define it as that, then but what is the use of those qualities?
Ale k čemu ty vlastnosti jsou?
Dhamma spanusita pungsam vishvaksena katasya vampaliyadi dividinsham evi kevam. They're considered a waste of time if they're not actually for the service of the Lord.
Jestli to není použité pro službu pána, tak to považujeme za ztrátu času.
And even we may say, well, he's got good qualities, he's a nice person, or whatever.
Můžeme říct, má dobré vlastnosti, pěkná osoba.
All we're seeing is just simply a combination, let's say, of the modes of nature, influence of goodness.
Všechno to je jenom kombinace kvalit přírody, nějaký vliv kvality dobra.
And that can change at any moment.
To se může každou chvíli změnit.
Not under our control.
Ne, že nad tím máme vládu.
To a certain extent, you can say, according to our karma, we get a certain situation.
Podle svojí karmy se dostáváme do určité situace.
That arrangement is not under our control. That's under the Supreme's control.
Ale to není pod naší vládou, to je pod vládou nejvyššího.
But even if we have good material qualities, what's the use?
Když máme dobré hmotné vlastnosti,
They do not in themselves help us to get out of this world and see Krishna.
sami o sobě ty vlastnosti nám nepomůžou se dostat z tohohle světa a vidět
We
Krishna.
have to see through the eyes of Shastra, through the eyes of the pure devotees of the Lord.
Musíme dívat očima šáster a očima čistých oddaných.
And gradually things may become clear.
Postupně se všechno vyjasní.
Hare Krishna. Questions or comments?
Otázky nebo komentáře? I remember one question by Indra in Vrindavan in this context, but I don't remember the answer. I don't even know who was lecturing that. But there's this, as Prabhupada says, that who claims to be supreme, he must be able to show the universal form. And Indra Prabhu was asking, but then the audience has to have the divine eyes. So
I was worried someone's going to ask that. I was thinking of the same thing.
Jsem říkal, že si nepamatuju si otázku.
That's the answer they give.
A Indra Prabhu se ptal ve Vrindavanu, že někdo tvrdí, že je nejvyšší, tak by měl ukázat vesmírnou podobu, ale on může říct, no ale ty musíš mít taky ten mořský zrak, abys to mohl vidět. A říká, že to nechtěl slyšet, ale otázka, že to neslyšet.
You can't remember the answer again.
Jaká odpověď na to byla, já jsem ji zapomněl.
You just have to be able to reveal that universal form, of course, of emotion. And you can say you can't prove it, but Krishna proved it because he did reveal it.
Krishna dokázal vědět, že on dokázal.
If you make a statement, at least you have to be able to substantiate some solid evidence.
Když něco teda tvrdíme, tak bychom proto měli mít dostatek nějakých důkazů a podporu.
And it's at least substantiated by the Vedic scriptures.
to mělo být oporu ve vědeckých písmech.
Krishna didn't just show the universal form, he did so many other things, of course.
Krishna nejenom, že ukázal vesmírnou podobu, ale dělal ještě mnoho jiných věcí.
There's so many other ways which you could say you can see that the person is not on that platform of eligibility.
Prostě různé způsoby, jak můžeme vidět, že nejsme na stejné úrovni.
And Krishna did also display or reveal, he does even to us, he reveals various aspects of his universal form.
Krishna i nám vyjevuje různé aspekty své vesmírné.
We're looking at some of them now in one sense. The sky, the sun, the moon, everything, the water, the ocean, the mountains. They're also, maybe in a limited way we can perceive them, but they're also an aspect of the universal form of the Lord. That's why we see in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita so many times, I am the ability of man, and this and that, and so many things. And that's another aspect of the universal form of the Lord. So yes, he does reveal, according to, you could say, our eligibility to perceive them. Death is another form of the universal form. And there are so many ways, the creation of the universe in various forms, etc. Many different ways one could look at that. So one is actually the supreme, has to at least display something which is clearly obvious only that the supreme can perform.
Někdo tvrdí, že nejvyšší, tak musí být schopný aspoň něco ukázat, čím to podpoří.
Lifting Govardhan Hill is not an easy job.
Kopec Govardhan není snadná práce.
It's easier now than it was 5,000 years ago. It's not so big. Govardhan's not so big now.
Teď už není tak velký Govardhan, jako byl před těmi 5,000 lety.
Whatever we can see, that would also be a pretty difficult job for any ordinary person.
Jako už to, co vidíme teď, by bylo docela práce pro jednoho člověka to zvednout.
Many different qualities and qualifications of the Supreme.
Takže mnoho vlastností a kvalifikací nejvyšší.
So we'd like to add on to that a little bit more, give us more clarification of that. Possible questions somebody may ask, which occasionally comes up, regarding the universal form and eligibility to see it.
Jsou otázky, které hledě vesmírné podoby a schopnosti vnímat.
Well, as Krishna gave Arjuna the eyes to see it.
Krishna Arjunovi dal ty oči, aby to viděl.
But that ability would also have to be there.
Tahle schopnost musí být.
Anyway, the Buddha is not particularly interested in seeing the universal form.
Tak Arjuna neměl až takový zájem vidět vesmírnou podobu.
For those who are, then there has to be some proof or evidential display.
Bylo potřeba jako ukázat nějaký důkaz.
It's a sound. Is there Harinam tomorrow? 3 o'clock? Same place, same time. Who wants to join Harinam? Ruchi. Tomorrow, please do. If you're free, please join. Become uninspired? Uninspired or inspired? What happened to me? We may not know everything. Nobody can know everything about everything. It's just, that's up to Krishna. But the living entities are, we have a capacity, a limit. Even Lord Brahma said, what do I know? He's the most intelligent person in the universe, but he was also dumbfounded. overwhelmed. His opulences were defeated by Krishna.
Pán Brahma, který je nejmocnější osoba ve vesmíru, tak oněměl, když viděl Krishnovy schopnosti.
Allah showed his humility when he came to the West. I have no knowledge, I have no devotion, I simply have strong faith in the holy name of Krishna.
Prabhupada ukazoval svou podporu, když přijel na západ. Já nemám žádné poznání, žádnou oddanost, mám silnou víru ve svaté jméno Krishna.
And as you mentioned, Aingur Prabhu, just make another statement about Aingur Prabhu.
Tady mluvili o Aingur Prabhu.
In Vrindavan one time we were given a Gaurapunim lecture. And I was asked to speak on some subject, but the verse Trinadapi Sinichena came. And after the verse, after the lecture was finished, I had to leave to the airport. I went to the back to get ready. And as Indra often does, or did, he would suddenly appear out of nowhere, rushing into the class. And she was sitting there in the class at the back, I didn't know it. He came rushing up and just almost strangled me. Almost crushed. I thought, oh my God, I'm in for it. I definitely said something got me in trouble here. But he was quite to the contrary, he was in ecstasy. Because the whole class was about chanting Hare Krishna. And then we discussed what he discussed, I don't know anything about it, but he discussed his realization of Trinadapi Sinichena. His realization of it is there's no other way that we can ever expect to become Krishna conscious but by taking shelter of the holy name. I'm not qualified by study of the scripture. We may do these things, but that's not my qualification. There's no other way. Worshipping the deity is, whatever it may be, are all recommended and we do them, but ultimately it's the mercy of the holy name. That was his realization that humility means to accept the fact that I'm totally unqualified to go back to Godhead. It's only to the degree that I surrender or take shelter of the holy name that I have any chance.
Jeho realizace je, já jsem plně nekvalifikovaný a povolen jedině do té míry, jak jsem schopný se odevzdat zpívání svatého jména, tak mám nějakou příležitost.
Hare Krishna. Now tomorrow, is there a class in the morning, or is there a program in the morning, or something? Who stays here? Who are the residents? Who is the president and who is a resident? Where is the president? Is he resident? He's gone. He left. He had enough. Flying out. So what's the program in the morning, sire?
7 o'clock here.
7 o'clock here. Are we supposed to come? We're walking distance from here, it seems. We're not far, right? Up the road somewhere. We're in a caravan park. 7 o'clock here tomorrow morning. Well, if you're free and you want to come, please join us. Hare Krishna. And don't forget, this life is very, very short. We haven't got too much time to play around. Before long, we'll be, if you're not old already, you'll soon become old.
Zapomínejte, že tenhle život není dlouhý, nemáme moc čas si tak pohrávat, protože brzy budete taky staří.
Take the chance, don't waste it as much as we can. Try to utilize it in the service of God.
Takže využijte příležitosti, snažte se co nejvíc využít možností ke službě pro Pánovi.
And try not to make our own issues the primary purpose of our lives.
Nedělat svoje osobní problémy jako hlavním smyslem života.
There's no end, don't worry, there's no end to problems.
Nebojte se, problémy nikdy neskončí.
The more you solve, the more that come, don't worry.
Čím víc si budete řešit,
Never a
tím víc
dull
jich bude.
moment, never a dull moment.
Takže nikdy nebude nějaký prázdný okamžik.
But ultimately the solution to all problems is to take shelter of the holy name and right service to the devotees.
Nakonec řešením všech problémů je vyhledat útočiště u svatého jména a služby oddanou.
The Lord Man says that endeavors to solve the material problems, the method which we try to solve them with is usually more of a problem than the problem itself.
Říká, že když se snažíme způsoby hmotnými řešit hmotné problémy, tak ty samé způsoby ještě přinesou víc problémů.
Of course, we have to do things to maintain and this and that, whatever you call it. Ultimately, we have to take shelter of Krishna.
Musíme dělat něco pro svoje zaopatření, ale nakonec musíme hledat útočiště u Krishny.
And then ultimately, all problems can be solved.
Tak se můžou všechny problémy
Because you
vyřešit.
can see everything in relationship with Krishna.
Vidíme všechno ve vztahu s
You
Krishnou.
can see the Lord's hand working behind everything.
Vidíme Pánovu ruku za vším.
Nothing's happening by chance.
Nic se neděje náhodou.
Everything. By the will, Prabhupada writes in the Mahabharata, by your will, my Lord, the living entities have come into this world, and by your will they can get out.
Prabhupada napsal v té své básni, že se tvou vůlí, pane, přišli život bytosti do tohoto světa a tvou vůlí změní člověk.
We can't even come into Maya without the will of the Lord.
Ani do máji se nedostaneme bez Pánovy vůle.
And certainly without His will we can't get out.
Rozhodně bez jeho vůle se nedostaneme
So we have to try to act according to the will.
Se musíme snažit jednat podle té vůle.
In Bhagavad Gita, you know when a man leaves the world, they sometimes, or a person leaves the world, they sometimes leave a will.
Jako někdy lidi nechávají poslední vůli.
You're supposed to follow the will, I guess, that's the idea. You're supposed to follow it.
A tím bychom se měli řídit.
For the pure devotees and the Supreme Lord, it's not that they ever leave in one sense, but they appear to, but they leave their will.
Nejvyšší Pán nebo oddaní sice neodcházejí, ale aspoň zdánlivě to tak vypadá, nechávají tady svou
This
poslední
is Krishna's will.
To je Krishnova poslední
Bhagavad
vůle.
Gita. His will. And Prabhupada has also left you to say his will informs his books and his will.
Prabhupada taky nechal svou poslední vůli v podobě svých knížek a svého hnutí.
Let's try to follow their will.
Že se snažte následovat tuhle poslední vůli.
Kamamo tattena kamam susamishana jana evana vikavika. This is Prabhupada says is the guideline for all devotees in this world.
Tohle verš říkal Prabhupada je takové vodítko pro všechny oddané v historii.
That when even we're put into difficult situations, so we appear to be in difficult situations,
Když se dostaneme do takových zdánlivých těžkých situací,
we try to understand that is some another. The Lord has arranged this. This is forever.
se snažíme chápat, že nějakým způsobem tohle Pán zařídil pro náš prospěch.
Actually, I deserve to suffer more.
Si zasloužil trpět víc.
But Krishna has just minimized it.
Krishna to zmenšil na minimum.
In such a way to help remove the causes of my bondage in this world.
A takovým způsobem aby mu to pomohlo odstranit příčiny naší spoutanosti v tomhle světě.
And in that situation, the devotee offers his respect, he offers his praise to the Supreme Lord.
V té situaci oddaný vzdává Pánovi svou úctu a piluje.
Such a devotee is an eligible candidate for baptism.
Takový oddaný je oprávněným kandidátem pro návrat.
No matter what happens, of course we have to use common sense materially and do the needful, but internally, whatever happens, the devotee accepts as Krishna's mercy.
Takže ať se děje, co se děje, tak musíme používat zdravý rozum a snažit se o nějaké hmotné řešení, ale uvnitř bychom měli vědět, že to je všechno Krishnova milost.
So we can practice surrendering to Krishna in every situation.
Můžeme praktikovat to vyzdávání se Krishnovi v každé situaci.
And naturally the process which, let's say, helps put light on that and helps us to remember that is specifically this chanting.
To, co nám v tom zvlášť pomáhá, je zpívání svatého jména.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Nityananda Maharaj ki
Jai.
Janapalaka Prabhu ki jai. I'm sure you put it in there. Huh? What? God, of course I remember his name. Supreme. Hare Krishna Parvati Prabhu. Oh, mind up, right?
What's that?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you all very much for your kindness and association. And, if we don't see you in the morning or don't see you in the Harinam or whatever it is, we'll feel that. Hare Krishna.